Imagine a day that would change everyone's lives, a dark and unsettling twist. Ask yourself, why? What could have happened on that day? Today we will delve into a world of horrors and mysteries involving Surinder Koli, a name associated with shocking acts of cannibalism. His story dates back to the imposing landscapes of the Himalayas, in a village where he was born, and follows a tragic and disturbing journey. Indian society, stratified into castes, reserved a life of hardships for Koli. As a Dalit, the most marginalized part, he faced the hardships of a reality marked by prejudice. But what led him from anonymity to cruelty? In a metropolis full of contrasts, Moninder Panda, a man of exorbitant wealth, and Surinder Koli, the dark and introspective employee, forged paths destined for terror. The disappearances of children, poor families crying out for justice, the inert police. The anger grew, frustration became present. The population decided to act, uncovering the hidden secrets of a luxurious bungalow, where macabre traces emerged from its depths. Horror led to action, and the battle for justice intensified. A relentless journey to reveal the truth was about to begin. But what did the authorities find inside the cottage? Why were the missing children connected to this dark place?
माध्यम से माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय के आदेश स्टे ऑर्डर की कॉपी मिली है हम लोगों को, जिसमें ये आदेशित किया गया है कि इसकी फांसी की सजा 1 हफ्ते के लिए रोक दी जाए, तो उसका पालन किया जाएगा। वैसे भी आज फांसी नहीं हो रही थी उसको, और कुछ अखबारों में गलत निकाला जा रहा था कि आज हो रही है, आज नहीं हो रही।
Welcome to the Criminal Chronicles channel. If you are fascinated by inexplicable mysteries and intriguing challenges, this is the right place for you. Welcome to another video full of sinister enigmas and stories that will hold your attention from start to finish. If you love unraveling intriguing cases and diving into mysterious narratives, don't waste time and join us right now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to not miss any details of the mysteries we will explore together from now on. And of course, if you can give that like right at the beginning of the video, know that it makes all the difference so that I can continue to bring engaging content to you. Let's dive headfirst into another intriguing journey. Here we go. Today, I will address the story of Surinder Koli, an Indian individual associated with incidents of cannibalism. Surinder Koli's narrative dates back to 1970, when he came into the world in a remote village nestled in the imposing Himalayan mountains. He belonged to the social group known as Dalits, a portion of the Indian population often tasked with occupations rejected by others. It's widely acknowledged that Indian society is deeply segmented into castes, with Dalits occupying the lowest rung of this social ladder. They are often assigned tasks deemed degrading by much of society, notably those related to hygiene and cleanliness, functions that many avoid due to considering them demeaning. The first years of his life were marked by extreme deprivation, with financial difficulties and food scarcity being a constant presence. In addition to facing these challenges, he also encountered situations of sexual abuse that left a deep impact on him, an episode led by an elderly resident of his village. Upon reaching the age between 10 and 11, he was faced with a peculiar reality. While the majority of Indians adhere to a vegetarian diet, an affluent minority maintains a meat consumption habit. This demand for meat led to a need for butcher shops, where he found himself working alongside his father. Interestingly, despite his own vegetarian regimen, he delved into the world of butcheries, undertaking tasks of animal cutting and dismemberment. Through this experience, he gained profound knowledge of the inner workings of a butcher shop and its complexities. At only 13 years old, he decided to seek a better life and left his small village behind. His journey led him to New Delhi, a vibrant and bustling metropolis. In the hustle and bustle of this city, he found a new job opportunity, promising a more comfortable life. This is how his path crossed with Moninder Panda, a wealthy man. The story unfolds in New Delhi, a setting of stark contrasts. Moninder Panda was known for his extravagance, often carried out in a luxurious bungalow. There, he lived a life of excess, surrounded by prostitutes and raucous parties. Surinder Koli, a young and introverted man, found employment under the extravagant employer, remaining unnoticed in Panda's shadow. However, beneath this facade of opulence, an incident marked a turning point. After a wedding in his hometown, Koli left his wife behind as he returned to the city. His evasive behavior regarding his wife revealed a hidden aspect of his personality. As Koli delved deeper into the life Panda led, the contrast between his humble existence and the extravagance of his employer began to stand out. The year was 2005, and the region was witnessing a constant disappearance of children. Extremely poor families were losing their children without a trace, and appealing to the police resulted in indifference. These children were considered expendable, victims of cruel discrimination due to their socio-economic background. The system failed to protect the most vulnerable. Koli, coming from a different reality, found himself immersed in an unfamiliar world. Once accustomed to simplicity, he was now exposed to the extravagance and ostentation of Panda. While Panda was out of the country, Koli took the opportunity to recreate his boss's lifestyle. The bungalow, once a scene of scandalous parties, became his comfort zone. In this context, a girl named Payal, only 12 to 13 years old, entered the scene. Her last job was at the bungalow, employed by Koli under the claim that Panda had hired her. The plot deepens in 2006 when Payal mysteriously disappeared. The bungalow became a scene of unsatisfactory investigations, generating anger among the local population. Frustration grew as many children continued to vanish, with no one taking responsibility. Faced with police inaction and lack of resources, a group of residents took drastic measures to solve the case. With no other options, they decided to seek help from an independent journalist, who was also moved by the situation. However, they were all committed to ensuring that the approach was unique and authentic. Thus, they launched their own investigation. This community action was a reflection of general frustration. With the reputation of the police and media in question, residents decided to join forces. Driven by the nauseating smell that hung around a nearby bungalow, they united to confront the growing series of child disappearances in the region. The population had reason to believe that something sinister was happening. As they explored the depths of the bungalow's sewer, the group of volunteers made a shocking discovery. Among the foul debris, they found gruesome traces, pieces of bones, entrails, hands, and even skulls. It was a horrifying testament that the missing children were somehow connected to this dark place. The disturbing scene forced them to confront the terrifying reality before them. In the face of the horror of the discovery, the police could no longer ignore the situation. The evidence was alarmingly clear, and the investigation took a new direction. The initially ignored public outrage gained strength as the heinous truth emerged. Inflamed protests and a quest for self-justice gained momentum, with the community seeking explanations and reparations. It was a narrative of a struggle against impunity, where collective action was becoming crucial. The search for answers became a battle for justice as the connections between the bungalow and the disappearances became undeniable. The once ignored community now refused to be silenced. What started as a desperate attempt to uncover the truth soon transformed into an unrelenting journey for revelations and accountability. The story of the fight against forgetting and neglect was just beginning to unfold. As the authorities delved into the interior of the cottage, in addition to the details I mentioned earlier, human traces were found at the scene. Among the objects were children's slippers and shorts, promptly recognized by families as belonging to the missing children. At that moment, both Moninda and Koli were taken to the police station. Meanwhile, the population expressed their discontent and protested tirelessly until the CBI, the Indian equivalent of the FBI, took over the case. The reason for this intervention was clear: distrust in the local police, marked by corruption, and inertia in the face of the situation, especially due to Moninda's financial influence. Popular pressure culminated in the CBI's entry into the scenario. The police officers originally involved in the case were suspended, with 6 of them facing dismissal. These actions were taken after evidence emerged that timely action and investigation by the police could have prevented the situation from reaching the alarming proportions it eventually did. One of the biggest mysteries to unravel revolved around the enigma shrouding the interior of that bungalow. Were both individuals equally responsible, or perhaps just one of them. The veils that concealed the events began to dissipate, but how to decipher the unfolding puzzle that lay before everyone? To shed light on these distressing enigmas, experts in psychology were called upon to contribute. The investigation, intricate in its nature, extended over several days, given the depth of the case. In the year 2009, the trial finally commenced, marking a new chapter in the saga. As details emerged, new pieces of the puzzle came into view. It was then revealed that Koli had admitted an attraction to young girls, using the lure of sweets and toys to entice children aged 3 to 15. A network of horrors extended to the enigmatic bungalow. There he would take them, in a sinister ritual, and thus an abyss of depravity opened up. In moments of absolute agony, the child was subjected to unspeakable situations. The walls of that chamber held the secrets of these abominable acts. Some innocent souls were captured by the abyss, while others somehow escaped. In the darkest moments of the narrative, the shocking description of his actions takes center stage. Reports indicate that his cruelty knew no bounds. When faced with the impossibility of finding satisfaction, his deeds reached a level of unimaginable horror. Initially, the violence reached disturbing extremes, involving the dismemberment of victims into multiple pieces. As time went on, the brutality evolved into an even more macabre form. What was already terrible became insufficient for him. Surprisingly, he revealed that merely taking the victims' lives and dismembering them was not enough. A bizarre desire consumed him, the desire to consume the bodies. At this point, besides taking lives, he began to turn the bodies into ingredients for his horrifying meals. Cooking and consuming parts of the victims became part of his morbid ritual. The story progresses, and the setting becomes even more disturbing. His once ordinary-looking house now conceals the traces of his sadistic actions. He had a specific method to dispose of what remained of the victims. The morbid details continue to surface. This cruel cycle of taking lives, dismembering, cooking and eating repeated itself horrifyingly on at least 19 occasions. Horror has reached the most vulnerable, children aged between 3 and 15, whose lives were brutally cut short. The extent of their violence is incomprehensible, and society cries out for justice for the innocent victims. Beyond these victims, reports also point to the inclusion of prostitutes in their macabre list of deaths. The darkness they represented blurred even the age of the victims. Some were children who, under terrible circumstances, ended up involved in acts of prostitution when older. In this sinister scenario, no family could escape the devastating impact of their cruel actions. Sadness, anger and mourning have become the invisible threads connecting all the interrupted stories. Faced with the scale of this tragedy, the pursuit of justice becomes an undeniable imperative as society struggles to grasp the full extent of their depravity. Yet the details remain shrouded in mystery. What has been established is that there were a total of 19 victims. Remarkably, Koli never implicated Moninder in relation to these heinous acts he perpetrated. He categorically claimed to act when Moninder was not present. During Koli's psychological analysis, an intriguing pattern emerged. He was asked to create a drawing. Typically, a person draws individuals of their own age group. However, Koli drew children aged between 3 and 15 years. An intense fixation on children within this age range became evident. Moninder had the habit of taking several children with him to a bungalow where disturbing events took place. This practice was enabled by his considerable financial condition, in contrast to the economic situation of the involved children. This imbalance facilitated the perpetration of these heinous crimes. A psychologist in an interview revealed that Koli had suppressed his sexual desires for a long period. However, the view of life that Moninder led, full of indulgences, seems to have been the trigger that unleashed the series of sinister events that followed. In 2009, the trial occurred, leading to a death sentence by hanging. Nevertheless, it's important to highlight that the unfolding of the case in 2010 brought forth a surprising turn of events. Moninder, the individual with financial resources, was unexpectedly released in that year, based on the lack of substantial evidence linking him to the crime. In contrast, Koli remains to this day on death row, an environment that lives with uncertainty. Despite the challenging atmosphere, Koli is widely recognized as an exceptional prisoner who not only serves his sentence, but also stands out as a role model within the prison system. His exemplary behavior and attitude, however, do not deny the absence of any sign of remorse for the committed actions. It is worth noting that his reaction remained unwavering, with the exception of a specific episode. The only occasion he let his emotions flow and tears were evoked was when questioned about his children. As the investigations commenced and the arrests were made, authorities turned to Koli's hometown and the place of his upbringing. Furthermore, they also visited the village where he maintained his married life. A disturbing discovery emerged. His wife, who remained in the village, had recently given birth to a child of Koli. Yes, you heard correctly. Amidst his heinous acts, he had impregnated his wife. Surprisingly, his wife claimed to have never witnessed any behavior in him that indicated sexual disorders. According to her, he was a caring husband and a loving father to their children. Amidst the shocking sequence of events, the most unique moment was when Koli shed tears, and it was when their own children were mentioned. And then, during a subsequent interview, a psychologist shed an even more disturbing light on Koli's mind. According to her, if he were released, he revealed that his desire was to repeat his acts, taking more young lives and devouring them. The psychologist emphasized that Koli showed zero remorse for his actions and claimed that for him, those terrible acts represented one of the most pleasurable sensations he had ever experienced. This dark scenario revealed a terrifying portrait of the mind of a serial killer, a story that not only sends shivers down the spine, but also sheds light on the deeply complex and disturbing nature of human psychology. And so, we conclude another fascinating dive into the shadows of the world of crimes and mysteries. If you were intrigued by the twists, puzzles, and engaging narratives we explored here on the Criminal Chronicles channel, don't miss the chance to join us on this ongoing journey. Subscribe to the channel right now so you won't miss any electrifying episodes that are yet to come. Each case, each detail meticulously investigated, relies on your support to keep happening. Leave your like, because that's what motivates us to keep bringing you quality content and thorough investigations. Comments are essential as well. Share your theories, opinions, and ideas. Your participation makes this community even richer and full of energy to unravel the greatest criminal mysteries. Remember, producing videos as engaging as this is a challenge, but with your support, we can continue to explore the stories that stir our investigative instincts. So don't waste time. If you're not yet a part of this community passionate about mysteries and intriguing crimes, click the subscribe button, activate notifications, and leave your mark in the comments and likes. Together, we will uncover the most complex secrets of the criminal underworld. Until the next video, detectives,